Make it so.
Let's do it. Okay, welcome. I'm Steve,
I'm Kevin.
and this is Nerds Talk. Um, Today we're going to talk about a few things. I say this every time, don't I? I go, oh, today we're going to talk about, and then I go, actually, we're going to talk about a few things. Um, I thought actually we could start with, in fact, I'll give you a little update, right? So,
Oh, an update.
uh, an update on my music,
Oh yeah.
my
Have you got
music
your
career.
your imminent release of your singles?
Yeah, so I've got a band. It's me.
Oh, is that what? Have you actually got a band now? You're a
Yeah,
one-man band.
it's just me. So and yeah, I was going to release so on the 13th of October. That was the date that me first officially, because I mean I've written 5 albums of music, but officially
Whoa.
my first kind of big release was going to be on the 13th of October, and it was. But I realized there was a problem with the audio file.
Oh,
Um, and it's one of those things, right? When you're mixing and mastering music, you have to really get it right for all types of speakers and headphones. Actually, headphones aren't a problem. Everything sounds okay through headphones. But like if you had a like I don't know if you played some music through your phone without headphones, it would sound a little bit different from playing your music through your car or playing music through your TV. So you have to get the balance right so that everything kind of sounds good. Um, so
I did
that's
not know that. That's very
it's the
technical.
It is, well, yeah, because you might sound great when you're just sitting on your in your recording studio doing it all, um, but if you don't mix it right, and then you have to master it, so you mix everything at lower levels, so everything's a little bit quieter, but you do that because you want all of those sounds like the instruments to not compete against each other. If you record everything and everything's like up loud to the max, your whole song will sound really muddy. You won't clearly hear the guitar. You know what I mean? You might have little cool things going on within your music that you want the listener to hear. Um, but if everything's up to the max, it just all kind of gets all muddy and messy. So you mix everything at a lower level. You also have to mess around with frequencies as well. So you have to have some kind of knowledge around lower frequencies and like the frequencies that the human ear can hear. So because it's a little bit, it reminds us of like broadband. So in music, if you like imagine your internet
Hmm.
and you can only get a certain amount of what do you call it?
Bandwidth.
Yeah, you've only got a certain amount of bandwidth. It's the same with a song. All of your instruments fill up the bandwidth, and if they go over, then everything kind of starts getting pushed and compressed down, and it's not as good quality. So what you can do is eliminate some frequencies from different instruments. So you've got like the drums and the bass are all quite low. Well, parts of the drums are still quite low kind of frequencies. So you can just chop out frequencies that the human ear doesn't even hear anyway, right? And that just gives you a bit more space. Also, dead kind of sound. This is really weird. This right? You would never have thought about this, but you could play a chord on your guitar, or you could sing and then stop singing, and
Hmm.
then the space in between where you're waiting, um, you chop those bits out of your recording as well because they even like no sound at all takes up sound from your frequencies. And I had you can't even hear it unless you start messing around with frequencies. And then you're like,
Hmm.
oh, there's a kind of a hiss that I didn't even realize was there, or that kind of thing. So you
Hmm.
chop out frequencies to give your instruments more room as well. And then once you've done all that, you've done all your mixing, you've got all everything kind of how you want it to sound. Then you master it, and luckily, uh, there are like AI mastering online
That's
things like
cheating.
well, yeah, but it's kind of this. It's kind of you could pay for some software and mess around with it yourself, or you could just run it through some an AI like
It's,
BandLab do a free one,
it's a
and
sound
and
wizard then.
well, kind of what it does is it just raises all your levels, but keeping the clarity of the
Hmm.
instruments. You know what I mean? Um, yeah. So anyway, so I thought I'd done all of this. In fact, I hadn't done anything with the frequencies at that point. but it got released on the 13th of October. But on the 12th of October, I listened to it in on all through my phone, not with me speakers. So I listened to it on speakers, headphones, in the car, and everything sounded okay. But I hadn't played it just by pressing play on my phone and listening it from my phone. Um,
Oh.
and the all of a sudden the vocals like fell into the background of the song. I was like,
Oh.
what the hell? Anyway, I realized what was wrong. But that's when I was learning about frequencies as well. So I thought, I'm just going to take it down and work on me mixing, working on, getting the sound better. So I did that. And then it only took a couple of weeks for us to sort of sort it out and, mess around with it. And then, I was gonna get it released for the 1st of December. Um, but this is another thing that you might not realize if you're like recording. So you use it. You can use different, uh, basically, what do you call them? Music companies. Uh, like the
Labels, record
labels. Yeah,
labels.
basically, yeah. If you want to release your music on Spotify and everywhere, then
Oh,
you
the streaming services.
if you want to release it on the streaming services, you still have to go through a, a record company, basically.
A record label.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
And there
they'll
are
get some of the royalties through the music played through Spotify, I presume, and you
yeah,
get a cut as
well,
well.
yeah, and there are some that are free, some that you pay for. All of them you can pay for because they do different packages and stuff. Um, I chose to go through a record label called Muse, and what they do is you can just release everything for free, and it comes out a month later, or you
Yeah,
can pay for different things so it can come out as soon as possible, or in the next 2 weeks, that kind of thing.
yeah,
But there's always a bit of time because it has to go through all of the different streaming services. And like Spotify or Apple Music, for example, are quite well. I think Apple Music are really strict. Um, so what happened with my song was because it had technically been released on the 13th, although I cancelled it. It was given all of the reference numbers that music is given. And then when I went to release it again. You have to specifically put in. I didn't realize this, but you have to specifically put in like the reference number to your original release. So I didn't do that. So then it got declined. As soon as it gets to Apple, they're like, "Whoa, hold on a minute, something wrong here." No, this one's been there's a discrepancy here. So it got cancelled. I was like, "What?" Um,
yeah. You were
anyway,
cancelled.
I was cancelled, and then yeah, so it should be released on the 8th now, the 8th of December. My brand new track. I'm going to
Oh,
do a video for it as well. Thought might
what's
as
the name?
well.
What's the name of the track that you're releasing? The first one, or is it an album, or just individual tracks you're releasing?
It's just individual tracks, and
Right.
this
And
one's
what's
yeah, because I thought I'll just instead of doing, I used to do full albums, and then like and then you release it. But what I found is when you do a whole album, you kind of rush it a little bit because you want the whole thing out there. You're quite keen for it to get it out there,
yeah,
but if you're just doing one song at a time and releasing them, which a lot of people do that now anyway. It's not the same as it used to be. People release like they might release an album, but they will have all released three of the tracks from the album before the
yeah?
album is
People
released.
listen. People don't listen to albums really anymore. You used to buy a physical album, and you might not listen to all of them, or you might listen to one. Or but now people just you stream music. You just play a track that you like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm just releasing them one by one. But what I find is like because I'm doing that, I'm just concentrating on one song at a time, which means I can really put a lot of time and effort into that one song.
So what's the first
Um,
song called?
don't look at me now.
Is that the
It's
one I've
basically
heard?
yes, yeah,
Ah, it's very heavy metal, isn't it?
yeah,
Very heavy.
yeah. That's my style. But it's basically about serial killer.
Oh, right. You've based
The
it
whole
on
song
real life.
based on real life. How yeah.
Do you need
But it
someone like Bez to like play the maracas or anything? Because I could be your Bez.
yes.
I'll just like lark about in front of you.
Hey, I haven't got maracas included, so we can definitely add that. That'll be cool.
Oh, awesome. I'm there.
Yeah, so I'll let you know how it all goes because this is more of a new experience for me. Like before, I'd make my own website and might put it on might put a song on MySpace or something. But this is like proper releasing
Well,
songs, like professional sort of thing. So
you
it's
need to
quite
have
cool.
a
Exciting.
a Twitter account for your music so you can tweet
Yes.
updates and things, or how do people know that you're releasing
Yeah.
this music?
Well, so I've got Twitter account.
Ah,
Handle is Unfolding World One, and all I've been doing on there so far is I've been doing the thing that I do with some of my mates who like heavy metal. I bug them and I send them links to new songs that I keep hearing because I'm always on the hunt for like new bands, new songs and stuff. So I just kind of do the same on there at the moment.
oh, there
That'll
you
be
go.
cool. Yeah, but that's all.
If you've got a Facebook page as well for it, I'll
Facebook.
share
Yeah,
anything of that. Yeah,
that's Unfolding World.
I
Um,
think I'm already on that one.
yeah, you are because that's I got my comic book on that one. So
Yeah, I don't think
you'll
you've
probably
any done any updates on that for ages, though, have you?
Yeah, have a look. Yeah, if you have a look, you'll probably see just me sharing music. That'll be it at the
Oh,
moment.
I'll go have a look later today. I will share that on my Facebook account for
Yes,
you. I know a few heavy metal fans.
cool.
There's a
Um,
couple of you out there. Mhm.
just a few.
I
Uh,
prefer a bit of Enya.
hey, I like a bit of Enya.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah, Enya, Erasure. I can't
Uh,
quite like that. I'm got a bit of a mix. I like a bit of Lady Gaga, that kind of thing.
that is quite an unusual selection. Someone who's into heavy metal also likes Lady Gaga. You probably should keep that bit quiet in the heavy metal world because they'll just
Yeah,
laugh at you, you know.
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, you haven't even got. I don't know. You've got the right hairstyle for heavy metal, like the shaved head.
supposed to have long hair. I'd love to have long hair. It'd be great.
No, I think that
That's
was an
class.
'80s thing, wasn't it? The long hair. Now it's all like shaved hair and stuff.
No, because
Metallica guy's got a shaved head, hasn't he?
no, he's got short hair.
Oh,
He
well, it's not
doesn't have
long
long hair.
hair.
No, but what you no well through yeah you're right actually it's a bit of a mix now. You still get like long hair metal heads, but yeah what I'm finding is though that the music that's coming out now there's a lot of kind of metal hardcore type music going on, and it's got a each each band does the same sort of thing. They might like scream for a verse, and then the chorus is like Linkin Park style singing,
Well,
and
the,
it gets a
the,
bit boring to be honest. But there's so much good music out at the minute. I can't even tell you right. I think this is the decade like the '90s was, where music is starting to become good again. I'm getting
oh,
excited about it.
The Britpop sensation of the '90s, where you had like new bands would come out that would just rock the world.
Yeah, yeah,
But I remember I used to think that heavy metal was stuff like, Motorhead, Iron Maiden.
yeah.
That's not exactly heavy metal, is it?
Not
That's probably metal.
yeah.
But it's when someone played like, oh, this is heavy metal. It's like screaming. It's like, oh,
I think
this is a bit violent, isn't it?
no, yeah. I think the '90s changed that because you had bands like Pantera, but then it got heavier, like Sepultura and um even like well then you start getting into death metal bands, but heavy metal I think it always had like heavy metal to me is always has a bit of a groove. It has like
Okay,
it's not
so
full on screaming. It's a bit of a mix. It's kind of like Iron Maiden, but you can go a bit heavier with it.
so Motorhead, is that heavy metal?
Uh yeah. To me, it's kind of well. To me, it's kind of more kind of more hard rock. But yeah, it's heavy metal.
Iron Maiden, heavy metal.
Yeah,
Spinal Tap.
yeah. I think you're getting into more. Yeah, you
Well,
get
to me
once
that
you're
I,
going further
I,
back though in
I,
style. You're going further back to the '80s kind of heavy metal
See,
style.
I'm kind of thinking back in the '80s. I think you had like Bon Jovi and Meatloaf would be rock, and
Yeah,
Queen would be rock, and I think you class the Iron Maiden and Motorheads as heavy metal. But I think what you've already alluded to there, like there was a phase where it got heavier,
yeah,
so it made the Iron Maiden to me and the Motorhead now seem more like rock
yeah,
or a heavy
yeah.
rock, if there's such a thing.
Oh well, yeah, because when I used to listen to Pantera through the '90s, and my dad absolutely hated
And that
it.
was heavy, wasn't it?
Well, yeah,
Pantera.
but if listen to it now, my
Like
dad's like,
really
"Oh,
like
this is quite good." Well,
then
it's
suddenly
almost
like once your dad starts liking your music's suddenly not cool anymore and you've got to move on to something else.
yeah, exactly. But even like I don't know, I really gravitate towards I like screamy music, but the only way I can describe it is screamy music with a melody, or a lyrical melody. So like even bands like Slipknot, yeah, like on the face of it, you might listen to a Slipknot song and just think he's
Oh
just
actually yeah.
shouting and screaming.
Your
Um,
one had a bit of a melody to it as well. I remember that was I'm not a good critique on music, but I do remember like oh it's got an actually nice little tune to it, sort of thing.
Thanks
Yeah.
very much. Yeah,
I was
well, I'm
quite
catchy.
surprised with that. So yeah, there you are. So
Yeah, I've got two other songs on the go at the minute that I'm just kind of so I'll release them in the next couple of months as well. They're almost ready. I think I'll just release them one at a time though. And I'm thinking because you've got to have some kind of engagement, like some visuals. I'm thinking of just doing videos for them all as well.
what animated or
No, I'm gonna do. I'm basically gonna film myself in my shed, singing
slitting
and
your
playing the
wrists or
guitar
something.
and the bass guitar. Yeah, and yeah, torturing someone, and then and then just yeah, just creating videos out of that. I mean, I can. I have created a video. If all else fails, I've got lyric videos.
Oh,
I
you
just
should do location work. Like I've got my drone. I could give you some drone footage.
oh, that'd be cool.
Um, you could have like I don't know some outside location like running around or larking about sort of thing, or you
Yeah.
standing on the edge of a cliff playing the guitar. That would be cool. And my with my drone hovering around you as you're playing this riff on the edge of a
It'd be like
cliff
it'd be like November
on
Rain. It'd be like
Sheppey.
Slash, except
Yeah, that'd be
nowhere
cool.
near as good as Slash.
Oh, that would be cool, actually, wouldn't it? Though you get a
Yeah.
cliff location, even in the winter. You have my drone just flying around you as you're like playing off a riff.
Oh mate, if during the winter, if there's snow everywhere, that would be a really good time to do something.
We should do it, man. Should
Yeah.
definitely do it.
I've got because
Or
I've got what I like videos with a bit of a storyline, but I'm settling on just I'll set a few cameras in different places, film myself singing, then film myself guitar, film myself doing the bass. Obviously, I can't play the drums, so I can't really do that. But I can chop it all together in a really cool way, and then uh yeah, and then it'll probably be better than like 40 or even 90% of other like metal videos out there.
oh, you see, you could do like I could just see some of it would fit. You have some woods somewhere, and you just have like a freaking camera running through the woods and things, and then interspersed with like some you wailing and that in with a guitar. This could be cool. I could be your director.
All right, cool. All right, we'll
Get a
do it.
GoPro.
We'll do it for the second song then.
Yeah, yeah, it could be cool.
I'll send you the second song so you can get a feel of it and see what you think. How you think?
Shoot, do a shoot in a few old graveyards and churches and graveyards and stuff
Yeah.
like that. We'll make it proper
Get
dark.
chased off by the priest. What you
Oh
doing
yeah.
in the graveyard? Nothing.
It's all right. It's the pentagram paint will come off. It will wash away. It's only chalk. It's not a real stag head that's been. It's a fake stag head.
I'll put your cross back the right way. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's all right, baby. Jesus will be wiped clean afterwards. Yeah, we'll do it.
Oh, awesome. So yeah. So well, that wasn't really what we're going to talk about, but um, so Kev, this
Yeah.
story after 48 years, Doctor Who has completely redesigned the Daleks creator.
Oh, you've done your research, haven't you?
What's going on?
Oh, I'm angry about this. So obviously, I'm a lifelong Doctor Who fan, mainly classic Who. So in 1975, one of what's considered one of the best Doctor Who stories, it's not my favourite, but I can see why it is considered to be, is Genesis of the Daleks, where they travelled back to the creation of the Daleks, and the Daleks were created by a crippled scientist called Davros, who was basically half Dalek. So his wheelchair that he got around was like the bottom of a Dalek, and he's a crippled old scientist that was the top half was him, all withered up and like just horrible looking. So
Yeah.
scary looking, like villainous, evil creator of the Daleks, right?
Well, it's what you
Now,
might expect from a Dalek,
well,
isn't it,
yeah,
really?
and the
Like, what
fact
is
is that
inside?
what I know. So right, I will come to that because there's other issues with that I have with this Doctor Who idea.
Oh, okay.
So obviously he's created the travel machines called the Daleks based on based on his own way of traveling around. So that's why he's created Daleks in his own image, kind of thing. So the Daleks are basically come from the race called Khaleds. Khaled being an anagram of Dalek,
Oh,
and
right.
they're like the mutated versions of what they used to be. Their cells and that mutated into blobby things within these Daleks. So he wanted to create a new master race of Daleks with the whole obsession of racial purity. Like anything that isn't Dalek isn't pure, must be exterminated. And the
Yes.
interesting imagery you'll draw to Nazis and World War II is heavy within that Genesis of the Daleks story, in that they're all wearing black Nazi-like uniforms, like the Khaleds that are creating these Daleks.
Yeah.
So iconic villain of Davros in his little Dalek wheelchair thing, like horrible, evil-looking, wizened old character, and he was like that throughout. It appeared in several other stories throughout the years. Um, even in the new series of Doctor Who, he appeared in it. So what they've done is they've done this sketch thing where they've reimagined Davros as just like a normal looking bloke, or be it a strange looking guy, not in his wheelchair, but just walking around like an everyday guy. And it's because in this modern day and age, we're attributing evil and kind of villainous to people that are disabled in wheelchairs. I read that and I'm like, is this showrunner who said that? I'm like, are you having a laugh with that? So you're essentially saying it's wrong to have him Davros like that. So we've got to retcon it because we're making out that people in their wheelchairs are evil. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, you're saying that if you are in a wheelchair, that means you can never be a villainous character then. You can't
Well,
do.
yeah. So, has anyone in a wheelchair had a problem with it?
No, and that's the thing. No one has. And no one ever saw it as a wheelchair. It's his life support system that he got around in. And it's what he based his Dalek designs on.
Well, so they said that he's the redesigned Davros in order to
Because,
move away
yeah,
from outdated cultural stereotypes. And but what cultural stereotype does
Well, I don't think
Professor?
he was even saying cultural stereotype. I think he was saying that it's the negative connotations that wheelchair people are evil. It's like no one was thinking that. They're
The
thinking
harmful trope
Davros is
of,
evil
yeah, the
because.
harm. Sorry, I was just going to say they've said the harmful trope of a wheelchair using villain. What?
But I can't think of any other villain that was in a wheelchair. All I can think of X-Men. Professor Xavier was in a wheelchair, wasn't he? And he was
Yeah.
a good guy. Um, Ironside was in a wheelchair, wasn't he? And he was a good guy. Um,
Yeah.
I can't, and I'm like, who's? I swear that these people are doing it just to piss me off because we've had to redesign Davros because it's not really acceptable now to show disability in such a negative light. What?
Right. Okay. Right. I'm going to be devil's advocate. Right. So, do you not think that this new design reflects a much more progressive and inclusive approach to like a character, so that it considers many of the uh, community projects supported by the charities, and do you not think the change really appeals to a wider audience, and everyone will be much happier with it?
Yeah, you're right. You got me on. No,
Oh, no.
Like, I
I
just
don't
don't
believe what I've
think
just
it
said.
was a ever. I just don't think it's been an issue for anybody, and it's clearly the showrunner. He's obviously something in his head. It's his own assumptions that he's making. That if he's thinking that, everyone must be thinking what I'm thinking. It's like, no, mate, you're just mad. Or he's doing it just to drum up some kind of controversy. I just
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
But there's other issues with. I haven't got problem. Like, okay, diversity where it's needed, yeah. Now, bearing in mind what I've just told you, the Khaled race of Daleks, they created the Daleks, racial purity. They don't think that anything that isn't a Dalek is pure, so they're based on Nazis.
They're evil, aren't
They,
they?
yeah, they're evil. That they were dressed like Nazis, the creator of the Daleks, etc., etc.
Or
Because
the creator of the
they're
dog.
Nazis. Yeah, they're Nazis. That's essentially. You watch that old story; they're dressed like Nazis.
I
Yeah,
don't know whether it's. I don't even think it's. I don't even think it's about that. So what I've noticed, um, especially with having kids, right? What you notice is stories change. So I don't know the story of Chicken Licken, or these like nursery stories.
yeah,
They what like when you remember them from when you were a kid, they might end in death of the
yeah.
characters in it, right? Okay. Now they kind of all end up in a happy kind of way. I'm trying to think of a really good example. Um, I think Chicken Licken might be one of them where like the sky is falling down because like a nut or something fell in his head. And then he tells another animal and then another animal, and then a fox comes along and says, "Oh yeah, I'll keep you safe," and then takes them back to his little hole and eats them. Right?
Oh,
Well, that story doesn't end that way anymore, and it ends in just a nice way. They all escape and everything's great. So what I've noticed is though, like the new character, this new look, Davros, um, he doesn't look as scary.
no.
And are they trying to water down? Are they trying to appeal to younger audiences? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they trying to appeal more to younger children now? Or is this just a society thing where everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so scared.
I
Don't scare my children." Like,
I think that they're basically scared of upset. Yeah, you're scared of upsetting groups like, oh, if we could get in trouble because it's like we're having a pop at disabled people because we're like. But then
but
the thing is, they're
who even brought
pushing
that up though? But who,
the
like in
the
the first place,
showrunner. You're just a showrunner. It's in his head. In his head,
made it.
it's that. So if I this is a megalomaniac. If I'm thinking that, therefore everyone else will be thinking that. So I need to
Yeah.
change it. It's like no one's ever thought that, mate. You want about? But it what makes me laugh though, I mean, God, good God, what they've done. It's not just Doctor Who, it's all over the place. Like the Marvel films are just ruined. Disney have ruined Star Wars with all this rubbish. But
Well, I
the
heard that the latest Marvel movie with
flop.
yeah, but I've heard though that they were only contractually obliged to create that film in the first place, so there was just no effort put into it. That's what I heard.
It cost them like something like 300 million, and it's one of their biggest flops. But they're not with superhero movies. It's too many. They fatigue with it. It's like we don't need to see this anymore. Just flashy CGI, people fighting and flying around. It's like it's old hat. But no. What makes me laugh is like the BBC have reviewed the upcoming Doctor Who special that's coming on Saturday and have given it a bad review and have basically said, oh, it's very preachy, pushing the message, quoting like I don't know if you ever watched Critical Drinker. He always talks about these films that push the message, like
Yeah.
social conditioning, like all this stuff that is populating all our culture at the moment. It's just bizarre. And then, well, and the South Park episode. I don't know if you've seen the latest South Park film, Into the Pandaverse.
Oh no, I didn't know it was out. Oh, I need to see it.
Oh my God, it it so has a pop at Disney, really bad pop at Disney, going on about that basically the Pandaverse because you're pandering to people, and
Oh
it
right.
it takes the Mickey out of how all Disney stocks are constantly falling and everything. and it's got Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Disney Lucasfilm, who's basically shouting around like they're refilming the live action of Bambi, and she's like, "Put a chick in it, make her gay." It's like, but it's Bambi. I don't care. Put a chick in it and make her gay. And like everything, she wants to put a woman in it. So they've replaced like Cartman as and all the other lot as like diverse females. It is really clever, actually.
I think there's a bit of a problem at the minute where everything is a little bit superficial. They'll
Mm.
cast somebody based on a superficial feature, like somebody's appearance, like their race. Do you know what I mean? Like or the fact that they're a female. And
It's more the females and things at the but like it's like they've decided, well, they're male dominated. So instead of balancing it, they've swung it the other way. And you're like, my God, um, who is it? Like Star Wars is very, Kathleen Kennedy did the Force is female to try and push it on female audiences and made most of them all female. But your target audience were like boys and men, like who are being turned away from that because you're suddenly not writing it specifically for them. You're
yeah, but
trying to appeal to another section that weren't really interested in the first place.
I also think that the females that are into it aren't into it for those. You know what I mean?
No,
They don't watch something and go, "Oh, there's a female actor there playing
yeah.
in this movie. I'm definitely going to see that purely because it's
Uh,
a female actor." That makes no sense to anyone, does it?
but also it's at the detriment as well because they're not even right. So they put cast a female in it, but they're not writing that as a female character. They're writing the female as a male character.
Yeah,
So oh, and I'm 10 times better than men. You're like, that's you.
the wrong
That
reasons.
that is
Yeah,
the
but
wrong
like,
reasons. It just doesn't work, and all you do is like, oh, it's a Mary Sue there, knows it all, unlikable character. I don't like her, and you don't like. And you're just too focused on got to make strong women in this, got to make strong women, but
yeah,
not understanding how to write a strong female character. For
yeah,
example, if I like the Hunger Game movies, I don't know if you've watched the Hunger
yeah.
Game movies.
I
Never
really love them.
yeah, I love the Hunger Game movies and the books. And never once when I was watching that thinking like, oh, Katniss Everdeen is such an annoying, obnoxious character. Or you're like, oh, a really great character, and I really like the films because they were just writing an actual strong female character with vulnerabilities that wasn't and character flaws. Well, they won't do that now.
Yeah,
So
um,
they now it'd be like, oh, we can't show her weak, we can't show her weak. Yeah, but weakness is a good character trait. If you overcome your weakness and become the better person, you've had a struggle, you've overcome your problems, and you've become a better person, and that's like basic storytelling. If you look at Rey in Star Wars, I don't know if you've watched any of the new Star Wars. She's
no,
brilliant at everything. Brilliant at everything. Oh, using the force, brilliant at it. Don't need training. I can use a lightsaber better than anyone else. It's like, well, you haven't earned that. You haven't actually earned all of those abilities. You just can do everything. You're brilliant,
yeah,
and
because
you're unlikable.
and that's the thing that like the person somebody watching movie because I go to see movies all the time, don't
Uh,
I? And for somebody watching a movie, you want to see a character struggle, and
Progress,
then
yeah,
like even that's not just female character. That's all characters really.
yeah,
You need to change that. You don't like it when they start off just amazing at everything, and like if you look at like I mean, there's loads of examples like Alien, Ellen Ripley.
yeah.
You could like just such a good character, but um, a good, a proper female character, not a somebody who's been put into the just slipped into like a role written that might have been for a bloke. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a proper female character, and she's scared through it and all of that. She's not just all of a sudden badass from the beginning.
But talking about like, have you heard all the stuff going on about with Snow White at the moment? With
Oh yeah,
Snow White and the seven magical creatures because they can't use dwarves
this is.
because
I think this is a publicity stunt. This can't be going on. This can't be real.
well, the thing is, it's because they got scared because the emperor of dwarf actors, Peter Dinklage, had a go at them using dwarves in this modern day and age. Rah rah rah, dwarves living in a cave, and I'm thinking, you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but Peter, you do know that these dwarves are like mythical creatures. They're not actually dwarfs, as in the disability that you have.
Yeah.
Otherwise, look at Lord of the Rings. Do we not have dwarves in Lord of the Rings anymore? So he's obviously kicked up a stink. Disney have gone, oh, we better not have dwarves in it then. So obviously they call them magical creatures. And
Yeah, but
then
hasn't
they,
somebody else said that they're doing dwarves out of the job?
yeah, it gets better, right? So there was a release of like these magical creatures, and they were like normal, well, I say normal, dwarves are normal people, obviously, but able people, like you had two white guys, two black women, and all that, and but normal size. And I think they had one dwarf in it, and
Uh-huh.
an actual dwarf. Then obviously everyone's kicked off about that. So now they've released the latest picture of like Snow White surrounded by these god awful looking CGI dwarves. So basically, what you've done is you've still done dwarf actors out of a role because it seems that Peter Dinklage wants to be the only dwarf actor in Hollywood. I mean, what the hell is going on with the world?
I don't know. I think a lot of people would say it's to do with the ESG scores.
Yeah, that's this BlackRock ESG. They're chasing ESG scores for the investment. But then their
Yeah,
stocks, like Disney stocks, are plummeting. They're losing money now. So it was only sustainable for so long chasing ESG scores.
yeah.
And I still don't understand why the hell do people like BlackRock want to give them money to put in these specific kind of ideologies and things. What is it to them? Are they trying to
Yeah.
change the world? Like to what?
It's mad, isn't it? For anyone that doesn't know, ESG stands for environmental, social, and corporate governance. It's a set of what was it? A set of principles. It's not a set.
It's
A set of things,
ideologies, isn't it? If the more
ideologies.
ideology you place in there, or the more,
Yeah,
whether it's modern word would be, the more woke something is, your higher your ESG scores go.
yeah. It's a ticky
So
box, isn't it? A ticky box. Do you
yeah,
have this? Do you have that? If you do, then you get a good, much better
oh, but
higher,
yeah,
better
oh,
ESG score.
hang on, you've got a strong male character here that overthrows the female. Well, you lose scores for that. Oh
Yeah,
God. So,
and that
so
means
that
there's a set of. It sounds to me like there's a set of millionaires, billionaires, maybe, who
mm,
are sitting there who view the world in a particular way, and they go, "We will we'll only invest into anything that aligns with our values."
ah, well, that's interesting what you're saying now. So going back to the Doctor Who, they were talking about like the new episode coming up deals with gender and identity issues and things, right? So obviously ESG scores we're chasing here. Now, to my mind, I think they're trying to cause mass amounts of division and arguments amongst people. Um, the whole women entering men's sports, and somewhat they're trying to push this debate and keep people arguing amongst each other, because I think the majority of people probably don't go in for the pronoun stuff.
Yeah,
But they're
and
trying, but it's got people arguing, hasn't it?
yeah, and that there's this huge division. I mean, personally, I think it started in America, and every a lot of things that happen in America, and talking about the USA, filters over into the UK. We like to copy
It's,
whatever madness is going on. We like to copy a little bit of it.
I think,
Um,
I think personally, it started around the Trump time when Trump was getting elected.
we,
And
we started over here with Brexit. I think that's
it got
the
worse. Yeah.
yeah. It felt to me like it was the first time that people were really arguing about like politics instead of just like not
They're
really.
still arguing about Brexit now.
Yeah, but there's like a real divide. In fact, my second song will be called Divide, and it kind of
Yeah,
touches on these kinds of
I've
issues.
And if you look at our politics, apologies to anyone not in the UK, but if you look at our politics in the UK, it's just a joke watching them all there. And the more and more, I don't know if it probably has always been this way, but I just think there's, I've never known a government in so much chaos that are divided amongst themselves, even that just one ruling party. And I'm like, politics is different now as well. It's all arguing and having a go at each other more than ever, with no solutions and resignations. And oh, they saying that on Twitter now. Oh, he's saying that now. Sack 'em. You're like, what is going on? I've never known so much. Like, there's division everywhere within society, and it started with it. The last 10 years, it's been getting worse and worse, almost to a plan, I think.
Well, let's not talk about the World Economic Forum. Oh, have you seen the? Has anybody seen this? If you haven't, look out for it. There's a picture of the World Economic Forum logo, which is just three words: World Economic Forum, and there's a line. It's kind of like a circle, or part of a circle that goes through all three O's in Economic Forum.
Mm.
Um, and then it kind of loops on underneath. So you could kind of say that it kind of looks like a little smile underneath it. But the line goes up through, because it goes through the O's, it makes the O's look like 666.
There you go. The thing is, though, we laugh about this, but they put this sort of symbology in plain sight as if they don't even care. It's in plain sight.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Klaus Schwab, have you seen that photo of him wearing like the Emperor's clothes? Do you know what the hell he thinks he's like Darth Vader or something?
oh my
I don't-
God. He
He's
looks
got
like a
some
Bond
company.
supervillain as it is.
Yeah. And he's wearing some like these black sort of clothes with kind of pointy shoulder pads, and
What? I'm gonna have to look at this one up.
yeah,
Right.
look it up, search for it now, give it a Google or Bing or whatever.
He looks like an emperor. I thought when he said he has
Yeah,
the
and
emperor's clothes on, he's naked. Isn't that the old story? The emperor's clothes.
the evil emperor will say.
Okay, Klaus. Klaus. Oh God, I've got to work out.
But it is interesting because I've said this a few times on our podcast. Right, the world seems to have gone from, in the 90s, there was the lone person with a sign strapped around them saying, "The world is nigh, the end is nigh, the world's going to end." Ah! And it's reversed, where you've got a whole, it's not just the one person who's going through some mental health problems, it's like a whole load of people who are like, the world's going to end, there's a crisis around every corner. Um and they and then then you have, and then you've got two totally different views. It's almost like
Sorry, I
one.
found that picture. Why is he dressed like Dark Jedi, like Darth
Why
Vader?
the hell is he
What are
wearing?
those symbols? With us, that's the Empire symbol, isn't it?
Mate, he's honestly, he's
Anyone, anyone listening, he looks like he's dressed like Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin's about to turn into Darth Vader and he's got his black Jedi costume on. That's mental.
uh so I mean, if that doesn't tell you everything, he is the stereotypical evil villain.
He's, I'm like, even like, we must build back better. You're like, I'm not being horrible to Germans or anything, but if you're going to appoint some old geezer with a bald head in some kind of like big old empire like that, don't give him a German accent. Never get people to trust that. We must have world domination. And it's not a puppet German people, it's a puppet Nazis. Before anyone writes in or emails in, that's old school.
Yeah.
That's
But
like, see what I mean? They don't even hide it now, do they? They're just like, yeah,
no,
we're our evil empire and we are going to dominate you all. They're not even hiding it. I mean,
I was
that's
seriously thinking that we could
it's
create
just
a
like
new group.
Darth Vader.
I was seriously thinking, right, we could create a new group, and it would be like a spoof of the World Economic Forum, and I don't know what we call it, but something similar. And what we do is all the plans. We basically take all of the World Economic Forum plans, and rewrite them in a really evil way. So the
Yeah.
goal is always to take over the planet or something. Do you know what I mean? And it would probably fit really well.
Stage one, ESG score ratings, collapse Disney, then conquer world.
Oh no, no, because Disney is part of it. So Disney is a follower of it, and that's why they're
Oh,
doing that's why they're being punished. Bit like Budweiser or Bud Light.
oh,
You know
yeah,
what
I
I mean?
forgot about all of those bits of divisions there. You know, they must have known what they were doing. Let's get some guy, um, Dylan Mulvaney, slap him on a bottle of Bud to celebrate his 100 days of being a woman.
Yeah.
And that
Oh
won't
yeah,
annoy both groups of people, women and men that like to drink Bud. It's
and the
almost like you had to
hilarious
do it.
yeah, well, the hilarious thing about Dylan Mulvaney is he's taking the piss out of women.
Yeah, he's
He's
taking a minute like, oh, I'm having a period. Oh, look at me. And I was having arguments.
yeah.
You're
I
taking
saw
a
that one where
mickey.
he's like there's one where he's like he's in the woods and he's in his high heels and stuff. I mean, what?
Yeah.
And he's going and he's getting chased by a bee or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like
Women
you
don't
are
act
taking
like
the
that.
piss, mate.
That's like the equivalent of, oh, I'm going to blackface up and do a skit and pretend I'm a black man and do loads
Yeah,
of like stereotypical stuff, like the bloody minstrel shows.
yeah.
Um,
And
he's basically, what's the difference? You're basically dressing up as a woman to take the piss out of them, but you've
yeah,
got the whole world thinking, like, oh, isn't he brave? Isn't he good?
it's
Oh,
not real.
what?
It's just not real. Like there are genuine people out there
Yeah.
um who are transgender and all that, right? But they don't act like him. And
Well, he's not had
he
surgery or anything.
well, no, I think he started off right. I think he started off as satire, or it was more than satire. He's just a comedian, right? I think he started off. He's an actor, all of that. He started off doing this thing, and people really liked it. Got loads of followers, and now he literally can't stop because
Yeah,
it's.
I've gone too far now.
I've gone too far now. He cannot admit that it was just a
Ah,
joke.
do
He
you
has
know
to
it's
keep
like?
going.
Do you know it's like when the we've got a South Park reference again, but when Cartman pretends he's got Tourette's so he can just keep swearing at people, but he's gone
Mm,
too far now. He's got to keep it
yeah,
up.
yeah, exactly. That is Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the world has gone bonkers, and then but they're all having a go at J.K. Rowling and all that, but no one's actually those that are having a go saying she's anti-trans people. She isn't. They're not listening to what she's saying, or they're choosing
No,
not to, because she's basically saying there needs to be safe space for women. In
yeah,
that you can't just have someone identifying as a woman go into a female-only changing room or toilets, because anyone could. There'd be no safe space, and it's eroding the rights of actual women, which
yeah,
I kind of think it is
yeah.
because you have women, men, and you have trans women and trans men because you have that label because, well, that's what you are. You can't say
Yeah,
you're, oh, no,
but
I'm a woman.
the problem isn't trans men or trans women, right? The problem is
Pronoun
blokes,
people.
blokes who are pretending so that they can,
Yeah.
because they're perverts, basically. That's where the problem lies. But
Yeah, because I
and
can
yeah,
just now say I'm a woman. I'm a woman now. Well, I've not had any surgery. Well, I'm a
yeah,
woman. You disrespecting my pronouns. I'm going to go to a women's prison. In fact, remember that rapist that he raped women
yeah,
and he's now identifying as a woman and wants to go to a women's prison. But
yeah.
you were accused of raping women. But we've got this wouldn't have
Uh,
been an argument 10 years ago, would not have been an argument.
well, it would have just been like, no, no, you're lying, mate.
Yeah, it's not like you've struggled with, it's not like with Bruce Jenner or Catherine, the Jenner, the
Yeah, but Shanna, yeah.
Bruce Jenner, you can obviously
Um,
tell that he was struggling with it for years. He was always quite feminine anyway, and then he's gone full transition. But
yeah.
then even he's kind of an advocate for women's rights as well in his
Well, it's
her
Caitlyn Jenner
defence.
now, isn't it?
Caitlin, yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
remember the name because he doesn't think that trans women should enter female sports. They've got too much
Well,
of an advantage. That's
and that's the thing.
biology.
Yeah,
But
and the problem is when it becomes confusing, doesn't it? And then you get attacked, and this is another kind of problem where, like, for example, you talked about Bruce Jenner when he was Bruce Jenner. Now he's Caitlyn Jenner. He's had the op and everything. So now if you're used to Bruce Jenner, you might accidentally be calling him he. If you've only known him as Caitlyn Jenner, then you'd be comfortable just saying she because you're used to that. But if you accidentally say it wrong, then people will jump on you and attack you, and that
Yeah.
I think I think we're bigger than that. Like we live in a society where we're much more advanced than that, and but we seem to be regressing a little bit in people's attitudes and the way people speak to each other and the way like you get
Uh,
instantly offended by something. Um,
I think this is very much a control and divide thing, right? And they're saying you can look at people and you can see with your eyes there are two genders, yeah?
yeah,
But they're telling you no, there are more than two genders. Your eyes are deceiving you. There are five genders, right? And then you start thinking about. Now, I know I'm going to be obscure with this reference, and I don't know how much Star Trek The Next Generation you've watched, but there's an episode where Picard is captured by the Cardassians. That's a bit of a funny thing. We're just talking about the Kardashians.
I
No, he's
know.
captured by the Cardassians. No relation, and he's caught by them and he's interrogated and tortured by them. And he has there are five lights, and when he's held by this interrogator, he says, "How many lights are there?" There's five lights, and he says, "No, there are only four lights there." So even though his eyes are telling him there are five lights, his brain is now being conditioned to say there are four lights. And then in the end, after all this harrowing time being interrogated and all that, they rescue him and he turns round and the famous line he shouts out to the bloke, "There are five lights," in defiance. But then when he's talking debriefing afterwards, he's saying that at one point when he was looking at that, he was only seeing four lights. And it's almost like a brain conditioning of trying to mess with your mind now to
Yeah.
say your eyes, you cannot trust your eyes. You have to trust what we are telling you, what you can see. And it's like step one. Then it will be world domination. Nine.
I think you're right. And with that, um, I think we'll end it there. With I think next time we're going to talk about your gaming weekend,
Oh yes, in a caravan in
and
Dover. Yeah.
we can also talk about our own game that we've started to create,
Oh
and
yes,
we need to finish it.
yes, and also next week it's Dragon's Meet, which is the gaming convention in London. So maybe I'll have a bit to report back from there. So
Oh, fantastic!
who knows if I go there?
Awesome. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, um, we've been we are Nerds Talk. Um, you can you can subscribe to our podcast if you like it on Apple, Spotify, Audible, Overcast, YouTube, Rumble, the lot. And you can find my stuff at stephensweeney.co.uk and check out my comic book at bringcasefiles.com. Kev?
KevinGroverFiction.co.uk. Buy my latest book of Ryan, which is on Amazon because no one else is. Peace out.
See you later, Kev. Bye.
See you later. Bye.